let's start with the skateboarder. This skateboarder was doing rail surfing, and he was being very successful at his rail surfing until something happens. Something terrible, tragic happens.
Okay, everyone calm down. It's a short video. I believe the words epic fail were kind of invented for this. So let's watch. It's going great, actually.
Impressive.
Yeah, very good. That's unbelievable. Yeah. That's great, actually. That's unbelievable. Fantastic. What? Oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, disaster at the end there. Now, the real question is, let's see it one more time. The real question is, okay, when you were planning this thing out, did you not see the sign? Jeez, Lord mercy, he ate that thing. I mean, he had that thing for lunch and dinner.
I find this video a little questionable, though, because in order to do that, you have to practice a lot, right? So obviously you've practiced there. You've noticed the sign. You've noticed that the sign is an issue. So I don't know.
Okay, so you're throwing it into question a little bit.
It's a little questionable, yeah.
Look, if it's real though, you know what? Even though it's a bit of a fail at the end, I'm still kind of impressed.
Oh yeah, I'm impressed too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that there was a female judging him.
So he got his testosterone all worked up and thought he'd try to, do something a little riskier. Look, I don't understand the whole skating thing. I mean, it's not my thing, and God bless you if it's your thing, right? But I'm surprised they haven't all broken their ankles. I mean, they're always like, oh, yeah, and I'm on the roof, and I'm here, what, stick it, and they always use these crashes, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm projecting because there's no way I wouldn't instantly have a broken ankle within the first 30 seconds of my skating career.
Grandpa Jenk, I have a Grandma Anna story. Okay, this is a total grandma story. It just reminded me of something. Okay, so at the university I went to, they had these lovely benches that I loved sitting on. Right, they were so great.
How great could a bench be?
No,
because I already loved it.
They were really comfortable, and they were in a really nice shaded area right in front of the journalism department. I love them, right? But there were always skaters grinding on them. That's what they call them, grinding, right? Yeah. But anyway, they destroyed those benches. Like, they were all scratched up and tore up, and there were parts of the bench, like, missing. It was a concrete bench, but it was, like, chipping away because of the skateboarders, right? And, yeah, I hated it. And then finally what they did is they replaced the benches with even nicer benches that had, like, I don't know if you call it ribbing, but it had, like... This
story seems, like, vaguely dirty for some reason. The skaters were grinding, and then what were they doing? Ribbing? What was happening?
Like, it wasn't a smooth bench anymore. Like, it had, it was one piece, but it had individual seats, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can't grind on it, long story short. And I was really happy about that. So the skaters couldn't skate anymore.
No, see, I hate when people... Long story long. That was not long story short. Okay, anyway. So now I'm going to outdo you, Grandma Anna. Okay. The other day I'm somewhere, and I think I was shopping or something, and these skaters, they drive me crazy because they think, like, it's really cool not to give a shit where you're walking, right? And they, like, barely miss you, except I guarantee you sometimes they're going to run into you. Because if you keep barely missing, one day you're going to run into the guy.
Right.
And here's what's going to happen if that happens to me. I'm going to get really angry, okay? Because it's one thing if they're fucking around with their own ankles. I got no problems, okay? But Grandpa Jenk doesn't like it when you fuck around with my ankles. All right, straighten us out, okay? We're too uncool. Go ahead.
You guys are so lame.
Uh-huh.
Like, both of you. Like, I grew up skating.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I don't get what's the big deal. It's like nobody... Like, when I grew up, there wasn't skate parks. Now there's skate parks.
That's where they belong.
Yeah. But it's just like, you guys are like, why do people have bicycles? It's like...
No, but bicycle people... No, bicycle people are...
the same thing. They go through... They have midnight runs in the middle of the street.
No, you know what? Jesus makes a good point about the bicyclists. They piss me off too, because sometimes I'm driving and they're in my way, and you can't do anything. You can't. They're super slow and they're in your way.
There's people walking. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, totally. Like, I agree. I agree with walking people too.
No, not buying it. Not buying any of this.
I got to make one really quick point about my story though. What irritated me is they ruined the really nice bench.
Oh, just calm down.
I like that bench. I remember when that bench was a nice, comfortable bench. That was a lovely bench before those whippersnappers came in there. Okay, look. No, Jesus, you're wrong. The people walking by don't come up and like barely miss you and like try to ball you over and run into you with their shit, you know?
Dude, like, what do you want? They can't skate in the street. They can't skate where the cars are at. It's like, what do you want people to do? Like,
We want them to skate at the skate parks,
But
designated
there's-
skater
no,
areas.
No. They're purposely dicks. That's what you're
No.
missing. Okay,
No,
they
they're
are.
not.
Like the ones I'm talking about.
People are
We
like,
were in
"You're
a.
just too sensitive. You're too fragile. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm fragile. That's what I
mean.
am. No, I'm in a park. I remember now. I was at Ralph's, a shopping store, and in a parking lot. And in the parking lot, it's fine. They're in the corner. It was a big parking lot. I got no problems with that. What am I? I'm not a dick. I mean, it's a free country.
But obviously,
right?
you do have a problem.
Hold
with it.
on, let me finish. I'll tell you why I had the problem. Because instead of staying in the gigantic part that was totally empty, they purposely come right by people. Like, oh, I almost forget that guy. And no, look.
No, but
and here's the
but
thing. And you hit
too.
me. That's one thing.
No, but there's the thing too. Like, yeah, I get there's dicks that are skater and there's dick drivers. You know what I mean? What do you like? Drivers who cut you off. Like, there's everywhere.
No,
I mean,
those
what are you
guys are
gonna
just in a hurry.
So it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't complain and be like, all right, ban driving. I hate fucking drivers.
No, I'm not banning
I could-
skaters.
Like when I was skating, drivers would fucking almost hit me. And what
Yeah,
are they
that's
gonna be
because you're a
like?
skater.
So it was just like, what do you
You're
want
in
me
their
to
way.
do? Yeah.
And no. Look, I'm not looking to ban them. Okay, I'm not that much of a dick. It's just they just calm down. Is all I'm telling the skaters. Okay, avoid the other people. Common courtesy.
And the benches.
And the really comfortable benches. Leave those alone.
So if Aristotle and Prometheus Uger in the future sometime want to do some skating, or maybe get one of those BMX bikes with the pegs on the back, or are you gonna stop them and be like, no, listen, son, I don't want you touching those skates, those skaters, or those little badasses down the street. I think they do that. They do that. What is it? Marijuana? Come on.
All right. Look. If I have kids and sons and they're gonna skating, here's what's gonna happen instead. Fucking algebra. Okay? Grab them by the ears and say, algebra. Look into it. Okay? Right. No. Seriously, what I would tell them is the same thing I'm telling the kids at home. Okay? Which is, dude, do it all you want. Just be courteous of other people. That's all, man. Because if my son is doing skating bullshit and runs into somebody else, I'd be so mad at him, you have no idea. I'd be 10 times angrier at him than I would at some random skater that ran into me. Because you gotta have courtesy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so that's it. No, it's official. Today I was definitely Grandpa Jenk.